School District Board of Directors to order Wednesday, May 19th, 2021 at Bull Beach High School Library. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wants to volunteer to read the mission statement in gray.
I got it. The mission of Central Curry School District 1 in partnership with families and community is to ensure each and every student is prepared to succeed and contribute to a global society by engaging in the challenging personalized program of educational excellence.
All right, thank you. Okay, celebrations / presentations tonight.
Actually, I did want to request that the board and our public here tonight to take a moment of silence in honor of Wayne Berry. Wayne was a very valued employee for the district for almost 6 years, and there's not a person in this room that Wayne has not impacted in a positive way. We're all tragically heartfelt. We're very saddened by the news of his death, and so I would just ask for a moment to be the thoughts with his family, with his colleagues, and with the kids he worked with.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda changes?
No, sir.
Board members, anything? All right. Approval of the consent agenda, 4.1 meeting minutes, and 4.2 approval of licensed staff recommendations for hire. Philip Hickey for high school special education and Dana Nudall for high school principal.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Kayla?
Aye.
Yeah, there you are. Opposed? All right. Consent agenda approved. All right, number 5, citizen input for non-agenda items. Yes, must state their name and address for the record. I've got one card here, Mr. Bill Williams. If you'd like to take the podium, wherever.
Can I stand up here? Is that all right?
Actually, yeah, if I could invite you guys to maybe migrate this way. It feels really weird having you sitting behind us.
I want to see if we could start a scholarship for Wayne Berry. I'm really sorry. It's really hard for me to go through this. Whatever it takes or whatever we have to do to make this happen, I'd be glad to head it up if I could.
Yes.
That's about it.
Okay, yeah, we'll continue that discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Mr. Wright, I do have one where Mr. Swift's not familiar with our process, so I'll just have to do a brief.
Special allowance.
Yes.
I have an IEP, I'm fine. I'll be quick. As many of you know, I'm stepping down as athletic director, 35 years involved high school athletics, I think is a fine long time, and it's my hope that I can mentor the next person. It is my intentions to gracefully sail off into the sunset next June. Although, as many of you know me most of my life, I don't do much very gracefully. A couple, I don't know, suggestions. You can take them for what they're worth. I think it's time to make an effort, a concerted effort, to bring the softball and our softball girls on our campus. I'm a huge fan of Little League. I don't mean to disrupt them, but I think it's a disservice for our girls to be at a city park that the city won't maintain. We won't put up, we have a beautiful scoreboard that Gold Beach Lumber donated that we're not going to put up because we have no way of covering insurance, and it's just not a good situation. It could be, it's a beautiful setting, but the fact is it's not being taken care of. And there's some other considerations that I really don't want to talk about, but you should look at bringing it over and let Little League use that, and let Little League use the facility after we're not using it. So that's one. The other is I talked about the scoreboard the year after I got hired here, and we got that 2 years ago. You've needed lights for 12 years. It's called Friday Night Lights, not Saturday afternoon games, okay? Because that's when everyone's going to the Oregon State or Oregon games. If we're going to continue to have an athletic presence, you need a viable stadium. I certainly didn't make this policy. I didn't adhere to it, but I'm a third-generation educator. Whether we like it or not, athletics is the front porch to this school and to this community, and it doesn't look good now. And that's just the reality of it. So I know it's a big investment. You need to, I would invest. It would be nice if when alumni come back, they see the things that they work so hard to get done, completed. I know we're all busy. I know we're all stretched to the thin. But the alumni always make a point to come and tell me, it'd be nice if it got done. And I'm talking about where we celebrate our athletic achievements, those hallways. And then finally, when I got here, Gold Beach had no weight room. Had a bench stuck in a corner, a couple welded bars. And on a lot of good kids, a lot of community members worked really hard to create probably the best small school weight room in the state. And now we're not in a good setting. And I have lots of kids that want to take the class. They can't take the class because there's not room. Even if it wasn't the virus, there's not room. The health of our students is just as important as their mental. The biggest underlying condition in the virus and deaths has been obesity. Active kids are usually mentally more engaged kids. You guys, you know the studies. You've probably heard me tell you 30 times since I've been here. I had a great experience here. Nothing's perfect. I had a great experience. I want to leave it, I want to leave it in good hands. I think Dana intends to do that. We got a good young staff, for the most part, coaching, that are trying to bring excitement to the kids. I think the success will come. Those are just kind of my parting suggestions. So, thanks.
Thank you. You have 10 seconds left.
You want me to use
No. It's gone now. It's gone.
I told Dana I'd behave.
All right. District reports. Crystal?
Not this weekend.
Did you guys get a chance to look at them at all?
All right.
I scanned them.
Enjoy it. All right.
Okay, we'll hit some highlights then. So on your yellow sheet, which is your accounts payable list, probably a little longer than what you've been seeing. On the second page, you'll see about $52,000 for our bus payments to Santander Leasing. So this is bus number 44 and 55. This is the time of the year that we do the principal and interest payments on those. There was another large one here that I want to bring to your attention. I believe it had to do with the buildings.
It's a pretty big one for Ironclad on page 2.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where it was? I already went past it. Oh, you can't lift your finger with the mask on. Just FYI. Yes, Ironclad Security. So this is, you can see that the majority of the funds came out of the grant that we'd already talked about, and that was for the handles and the security doors and the little fobs, which are right here, which now work, which is great. There was a little bit an overage there in that, and so the little bit of overage did come out of the general fund. So that was that report. Thank you, Jeremy. Monthly expenditures. Things are going pretty well as far as staying within our percentages here, with the exception, if you want to look there on guidance services. We've already overspent that budget, and that's just a difference in how we budgeted for alt ed and what percentage of this person was going to be doing alt ed versus what actually happened this year with COVID, and there were some changes. And so we actually had more funds coming out of the general fund than we had originally planned. So you can see that that budget is already overspent. Monthly revenue, which is your green. You can see the percentage there on the taxes. Really close. So we're almost done, to the end of the year. So we should make those numbers. Miscellaneous, you're seeing is significantly higher than what we'd put in there. That's because we had some roofs blow off. And so our insurance actually ended up paying for that. So whereas you have that higher revenue, we also had the higher expenditure on the repair side to offset it. And then you have your cash balance report. Still looks good. The main hit obviously always comes in June when most of the staff are paid 25% of their wages, as well as 25% of their benefits are booked. But as you would expect, it's going down this time of year, slowly and incrementally, until we hit June, and they will take a significant hit then.
Questions? Very good, thank you. Principal reports, Mr. Denning.
Good evening. I'd like to start off by congratulating Scott, Nancy, and Jeremy. I know it's unofficial. I would like to point out Scott's opponent got 1.16% of the vote. Jeremy's got 0.97, but Nancy had her supporters lined up. 0.3% of the vote was her opponent. So Nancy, percentage-wise, you did awesome. The other guys got a little work to do, so maybe they can work with you next year a little bit. But anyway, I'm ecstatic though that you guys are back, and this is an awesome team, and I think it's going to be good the next few years for you guys too. So anyway, a couple things. Basketball started last week. The boys kind of surprised their coach and won by 24 points up north, so that was kind of nice. The girls have their first game right now, and I've been waiting for a text to hear the results, but I haven't heard yet. So might have an update for you before the end of the game. We do have a brand new coach to basketball, and maybe a little bit brand new to basketball herself. So it's Carly Wright's been helping out, and Mrs. Hawthorne, Sophie's mom's been helping out. I can't remember her first name. Someone help me. Becky, yes, Becky Hawthorne's been helping out too. So that's been a good thing, and exciting news too, and I didn't put this in my report. We were able to, Crystal and Tim were able to find the way to get our wrestling program going again. And Mr. Kashaba, you all know Perry, He is the personality and the workhorse to do that. And I think he started off with about over 20 kids, and it's winnowed down a little bit. With our first meet was going to be this Saturday in Brookings, but we just got it canceled today. We heard it was canceled today because they don't have enough referees. There's so many events going on right now, and junior high kind of used to stagger our sports a little differently than the high school did, but we're not able to this time. So hopefully we'll get some meets in for the boys, but they're super excited about it. And so we're looking forward to building the program at junior high, and that'll carry over into the high school program too. 8th grade completion ceremony will be before our next meeting. It'll be on Thursday night, just like we did last year. It's a little windy out there for Nancy and Tim and everybody else, but you guys are welcome to come if you want, and we won't embarrass you or anything. And basically the kids park along 6th Street there. We have a person on the radio, and they say who's in the car, and then they tell me, we pull out the certificate, and I announce it over the PA system, and they drive up, shake hands, or, well, wave to the teachers, they shake hands, and it's just a kind of a fun time to do it, since we weren't sure what the rules would be for inside, so we just thought we had so much fun last year doing it, we'd do it this way one more time. And that'll be at 6 p.m. If you have any questions, just give me a holler about that. I can fill you in more. 4th quarter progress reports went home today. And then we were still working on our openings. Marine's been helping a lot. We have special education still open. We have our reading specialist. We have an interview on Zoom to Wyoming on Friday afternoon, so hopefully we'll find a good candidate there for the 3-5 classroom teacher number 11. We're calling them by numbers now so we don't get it mixed up. Teacher number 11 in K-5. And then our 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, or actually it'd be the 7th, 9th ELA. I wrote 6th in there. We're still trying to look at, as administrators, trying to look at how to make this work, so we might have to do some juggling depending on the staffing that we have for the end of this year, for next year. Testing ended today for Riley Creek. We do have some stragglers, some absentees that have to make up, but for the most part, we're done with testing, which is amazing that we were able to do it in such a short amount of time. And thanks to Josh coordinating us able to use a computer lab over here, and Sally being testing coordinator and a bus driver. It was awesome. And I really hope the state in the future can look at how efficient and how kind of clean this was. And it wasn't, in the past we'd have to break down one whole week for just one grade level. 3rd grade reading this week, and then 3rd grade math next week, and it was the whole week. I mean, it was a strenuous, huge, overblown monstrosity, and I can say that now because no one can fire me. It was awful. I know it wasn't you guys, it wasn't Tim, or it was the state, and the feds probably to some degree too. There's just too much testing on the kids to have to block out a month of school for testing is just terrible. Anyway, enough of that. Completion ceremony, I got that in there again. Devices return. We're going to try to get 150 devices that we passed out, and they're going to be in wonderful shape, I'm sure, when they come back. The first week of June will be the K-5 because they don't have online school on Fridays. The middle school does, so we're going to hopefully go into the next week and start collecting the middle school devices, and then we're going to give the students some kind of assignment, paper assignment, to do on that Friday of the 11th, which would be the last Friday of school. And then we come back for Monday and Tuesday, and we're looking at a field day and kind of some fun activities for the kids to kind of end this crazy pandemic year. Water safety has been completed. We had 2 different sessions, and Luke and Walter Sherbarth came in and used the courtyard so they were outside, and we could have the kids in small groups out there. And that's something super important to have around here with all the water sports that are involved out here in the river and the ocean too. So they really did a good job. And summer school, we're moving forward with that. I think we posted today or close to it. And so the teachers a lot of them have designed some pretty creative and fun classes for the kids this summer. And I know the kids are going to be super excited when they see the choices that they have for schooling for this summer. And I believe that is all that I had, unless someone had any questions about anything. All right, thank you.
Mr. Metzger?
Yep. All right. Fairly short and sweet tonight. We're coming down to the end of the year, and that's just kind of what we have some updates about, and then we'll move on. So real quick, staffing updates. As recommended to the board tonight, we did interview and offer for hire. Now you guys have made official to hire Phil Hickey as our special education teacher for Gold Beach High School next year. Mr. Hickey comes from a very sort of non-traditional education background. It's a second career for him. His first career was actually coaching football in the European leagues and the XFL. After working with his own son through the educational system on an IEP, his son is a student with autism. He decided that he was going to go back to school and finish his degree and become a teacher, and specifically a special education teacher. He's been doing that for 3 years now in California. All of his references spoke to his ability to build relationships, lead an IEP meeting, engage a team, and really, his principal, the best thing he said about him is that when they have an IEP meeting, everyone walks away and says, you know what, I felt like I was heard at that meeting today. So that really spoke well to his character. We were impressed, so we're really happy to have him on staff. Elena Pepin will be moving to the high school fully as our 10th to 12th grade language arts teacher. We are really excited about that. Ms. Pepin's been an asset to the high school level in her 9th grade instruction, helping to bridge the move from middle school to high school, and we're excited to have her as our full-time teacher now. And then finally, yes, congratulations or condolences, depending on with the moment. Miss Dana Newdahl will be our principal next year, so we are going to be seeking a replacement's a strong term. We're going to be seeking someone to fill the health and physical education and CTE position here at the high school in the coming weeks. We do still have some positions open. The other one that is always an interesting challenge to fill here at the high school is high school science. We are still actively looking for candidates. So we've offered the job twice. Some of the challenges that have come up are housing, as is the case of many employers around here. So we're trying to make sure that by the next time that another candidate comes up, we have something in place for them so we can say, hey, here you go. Graduation. Seniors have requested that graduation take place at the football stadium this year, as much as the last class really appreciated the parade through town and the very unique circumstances of last year's graduation. This year's group was looking for something that looks a little more familiar, but they also understood the challenges that having an indoor graduation could pose, so we're going to be holding it in the football stadium this year, which will be an interesting change of pace, depending on all the logistics that we have to work out with it. Kids are excited, though. Graduation will be on June 11th at 7 p.m. You're all invited. I will embarrass you. That's the difference between Tom and I. So it'll be a good time. A couple of project updates, because I always keep these on here. Maintenance. Crystal mentioned that the electronic locks are now in place on all the doors at the high school as well as Riley Creek. We really appreciate this modern standard, industry standard security system, so that's really nice to have. And it's nice that the teachers now all can recognize that all of the doors work for them now. As the principal here at the high school, I've not had a key to the front door until, well, last month. So.
We're gonna need that back.
Yeah, I know, right? I just get it. I mean, come on. Technology, so the high school, we're really thankful, and I know that Riley Creek feels this way too about the investment and the priority that the board has made it technology in the last year in particular with the challenges that CDL brought to us last year and then the potential for more of that hybrid learning. We're really happy to have what we've been able to get with the board's support. So we're going to start recalling those on June 7th. We'll see what condition they're in. I'm sure they're going to be great, just like Tom said. Yeah, we're going to be good to go. So that's exciting. So we'll have those available for in-class use next year. CT Revitalization Grant. So we were able to add a couple of major purchases for the metal shop last week. We purchased a new furnace, sand muller, and additional casting tools coming to the school in the coming weeks to revamp the aluminum smelting and casting program, which is a high demand skill for around here because in addition to over at Freeman Marine, in addition to shielded arc welding, one of the things they are interested in our students having the knowledge of how to do is aluminum fabrication. So that is an industry standard skill, but also one that kids really get excited about doing because there's something about pulling out a giant, well not giant, but canister of molten aluminum and then being able to pour that into sand and have your now superheated piece of metal turn into a really cool sculpture or whatever you're building. Last couple of things, athletics and activities. Basketball officially began its season this week, so they played against Reedsport at home last night at 5:30. They won by 16 points. So that was really cool. And then track ends its competitions on Friday and Saturday with the state track meet. We had five, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for the assist there. I counted four. Five athletes qualify for a variety of events. So that's kind of exciting that in sort of an unusual year, Mr. Clark has been able to get people excited about doing track and field, and we actually had some state qualifying athletes. So that's it for me, unless you guys have any questions.
Just quick clarification on the doors.
Yeah.
So during the school day, is there only like one way to get in the building?
Yes, the front door is unlocked, but the other doors are locked, and that's done on an automatic timer. We're no longer having to go through with an Allen wrench and like manually bar the doors, which is, was not the end of the world, but it is nice that, again, we're up to now sort of what is considered the industry standard, is that electronic locks are regulating access to the building throughout the day. We have an emergency panic button that we're able to hit in the office that will automatically lock all of the doors. So those kinds of upgrades, while it doesn't seem like a big deal, really do add a layer of security to the building that is much appreciated.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I think back to once upon a time, there was,
Yeah.
pretty much all these back doors, you could just grab one and give it a little.
Exactly. Well, and the reality is that, again, this is what teachers now expect. This is the standard anywhere you go. The next step, the only thing that's different is that it does log who logged in and when and where, and we can go back and actually pull that information. So as a young teacher, when I didn't have children, there were times, okay, it's 10 o'clock. Crap, I didn't plan something. I could go down to the building, but my administrator knew that someone was in the building, that it was me, and they knew what time I was there. So it's good to have that kind of security and confidence that we're good to go, but also convenience for people. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent report, Mr. Wilson.
That's me. All right, on the green sheet there, our enrollment stayed about the same. We were down 2 from last month, but so overall in the district now we have 443 students. And Mr. Dinning confirmed with me today, right now we're around 32 or 33 pre-enrolled kindergartners. So, and then traditionally we'll have 4 or 5 that just show up on the first day. So it's looking like potentially 2 kindergarten sections there. We, as part of our summer enrichment, both Ms. Ham and Ms. Bayer are planning to have some pre-K or new incoming kindergarten preparation, kickoff to kindergarten type activities for a couple of weeks this summer. Going through the personnel reports that have not already been mentioned, I have accepted the resignations of Corinne McGinnis, who has been a valued employee here in the district for 10 years. We wish her well in her new position as the elementary principal in the Santiam Canyon School District. And I've also accepted the resignation of Carla Metzger, who's worked at Riley Creek the last 3 years as an instructional assistant. Somehow is going to stick around with that other guy named Metzger and move when their family moves to Sutherland. Tonight we have an action item to approve the agreement that we have tentatively made with the Classified Association, and this week we began negotiations with the license group. A couple big news items I think I shared more at the, actually one was at the workshop on May 6th, another one was just recently. And that is, we received the Essa Grant 2 years ago, and it was an improvement grant that related to the class of 2016 only having 51% of the graduates graduate on time. That number is now over 80, just so the improvement we've made over the last couple of years. Still not high enough, but obviously we're going in the right trajectory. We got about $43,000 a year to help with professional development, attendance advocate, buying devices. Well, unbeknownst to either of us, Crystal or me, they doubled that and said, here's another $43,000 and you have till September to spend it. So that is a good thing and a challenging thing at the same time. I did just get approval yesterday that we can use that fund and intend to use that to replace the message board out on Highway 101. We'll have a brand new state-of-the-art message board installed before the beginning of the school year. The second part I wanted to share publicly was a meeting I had with State Representative David Brock-Smith. As a part of the American Rescue Act, each legislator in the Oregon legislature had a portion of funds for projects within their legislative districts, and he selected our district to receive a $250,000 grant to begin an early learning center to work with kids under age 5. And so it's going through the legislative process. I believe it was signed into law last week. And so the new administration, along with our community partners, the Southwestern Oregon Children's Foundation, Early Learning Hub, Head Start, will put all those people together, and with the goal of the fall of '22, having a program for pre-K students in our district. And then I think that's, and then the last thing, as far as maintenance, every 3 to 4 years we have lead testing that's required. Unfortunately, the high school had a bad day. Riley Creek only had one sink, and it was one that hasn't been used all year. It was Miss Van Hall's room, and she's teaching all online students. So anyway, but we had 17 at the high school and some of them were just inactive, haven't been used in years. So we did have to shut those down temporarily, and then on Monday we will have a quick treatment and a retest and to get in alignment with the state standards. That concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you.
Tim, on your report under
Yes.
the budget-related actions, the last bullet point there, can you just clarify where it says we were allocated the $140,000, we're not going to spend all of it?
Sure.
Just that portion.
You absolutely. So our total allotment from the state, this was the summer enrichment, summer learning program law that was passed by the legislature. There is about, roughly about, let me think. There's a K-8 portion, and then there's the high school portion. And each of those was based on the ADM for enrollment. And then the district of that allocation, it's also required that the district put in 25% matching.
Right.
So we'll have no problem spending all of our allocation for the K-8, but we'll have a lot of problems trying to spend all of the money for the 9-12.
Okay.
Essentially, the 9-12 program right now is credit retrieval, and then maybe some supplies around some devices, technology. So that's what it's attributed to. The actual whole grant was about $200,000, but that also included the option to do a K-5 child care program. We chose not to do that, but this primarily is speaking to underspending at the 9-12 level.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Okay. No other questions? We'll move to old business. Oh, okay. 7.1 SIA budget discussion.
Yes, I just wanted to report publicly the results of our meeting that the board had on May 6th. And this is how we have prepared the budget for the budget committee to consider next week. $100,000 for an elementary counselor, $85,000 for an elementary teacher. That's called teacher number 11, by the way. A half-time district nurse, the contracted service to provide the Riley Creek Garden Program, adopting some textbooks that were out of compliance, and then $50,000 in increasing our technology with student devices, which brings us up to just under $333,000. We got a little bit more than that. We have like another $5,000 or $8,000 that's undetermined at this point. To complete the process, the SIA grant application now has to be completed. You might remember last time in the initial one a year ago, it was several pages, more than several. This one is 2. So I've actually, it's done, but I didn't think I would have it done for tonight. So at the June meeting, I'll bring you the revised grant application for your approval, and then we will submit that before the June 30 deadline. You have any questions about the SIA? I appreciate your conversations during that work session.
All right. Move on to 7.2, summer learning.
So again, we've talked about it in pieces here, just to give you a little bit more detail. I announced to the staff a couple weeks ago about the opportunity to have this program. We incentivized the salary part. You know, it's understandable that most of all of our staff is pretty fatigued at this time of year, and summer school is one of the things not as a priority for most. But by using the grant funds and through memorandums of understanding with both associations, they were happy to have a salary increase for this summer only, so that we could offer several programs beyond the normal remediation program. Those proposals included classes in coding, photography, art, music, fitness, cooking, rocketry, river study, gardening, and even some fun mathematics. So this week I'll be finishing the hiring process of a coordinator. Teachers and classified folks are now officially showing their interest to be working this summer. So next week we'll begin registration. We're aligning our programs with our other community partners, the Curry Public Library and their summer reading program, along with the SEND. Our goal is to have a one-stop shop where kids and families can sign up for all these activities on one page. And so that's all in the works to happen starting next week. Actually, SEND has already started their registration process. The summer program will run from July 6th through August 13th. Some camps will be 1 week, some camps will be 2. The academic remediation is a 5-week program. So at the June meeting, I would give you an update on where we are as far as the number of students who have requested to be in the camps and in the classes. And these dates are also aligned with our summer lunch program. And so students will be able to leave their session and then grab and go as far as their hot or cold meal with breakfast the next morning. Principals, did I leave anything out as far as product things? Okay. So unless, again, if you have any questions, I'll provide an update for you in June on where we are.
Mr. Wilson, I just had a question I
Please.
forgot to ask at the last workshop, and that was just the time. Is that like a half-day program?
It is. It's 8 to noon.
8 to noon?
8 to noon. Or some teachers have requested a 12:30 to 4:30 for a
varying
camp. Yeah, like a 1-week camp would be in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. We will move on to new business. 8.1, approval of contract with Central Curry School District Classified Employees Association. Got it.
Yeah, so you have in white there the changes that are in red. This was the third year of a 3-year contract with the Classified Association. The contract was tentatively agreed upon with an increase of 3% on the base, plus a step on the salary schedule, a 5% increase on the insurance benefits. And just as a reminder to the board, the first 2 years of the contract, the classified group chose to have no increase on their insurance. They wanted it all in wages. And so this is their attempt to start to catch up with the license, if you will, as far as the contributions on the cap. And then the couple language changes. One was at the request of the district and management to have increased the probationary period from 60 days to 90 days. That would give more time for, in some positions, to have more skill development before an evaluation is made. That's on page 2, where we move the 60 to 90 days. And then the last part, the last change was on page 10, and that's in the article regarding transportation. And we had 2 different rates of pay. When a bus driver was on an extra duty trip, they have their pay when they're traveling, when they're driving, and then there was a different rate of pay when they were watching the games or on a break or something. So we've, for simplicity and bookkeeping purposes, essentially, we've made that rate all the same. So it's the same hourly rate from door to door, if you will, of the assignment. So I can share with you that the association membership ratified this contract agreement, and it's now up to the board to accept this and make it a formal acceptance of the agreement, which comes with the recommendation of the negotiating team. And Andy, if you want to speak to that anymore, or?
Yeah, no, I have nothing else to add other than I concur, I mean, with the recommendation coming from the negotiating team. Anybody have any questions about that?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised negotiated agreement with the Classified Association as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Yeah,
You can hear me.
Yeah,
we're good.
thank you. Opposed? All right. Contract approved, 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, 8.2, proposed board policies of first reading.
So again, this is, I think, the last we'll hear from OSBA in this school year as far as any policy changes. There is a mix here of revisions of some of your current policies as well as a couple new ones. So tonight is your first reading for policy CBA, the qualifications and duties of the superintendent. This is a revision, and so what you have is a copy of, it says delete, which is the former or the current, and then you have the proposed, which has been gone through several, I guess, screens, and has now been revised for policy as far as the specific, and you're, again, familiar, specific duties of your superintendent. These are things you're very familiar with because this was your basis of your selection process this spring. Not any really significant changes other than there's been some updates and so on. So that's that one.
It looks significantly longer.
Yes, more things to do? You're kidding me. Got off at the wrong time, all right. Yeah, there's only used to be 16, now there's 39 things to do. Gosh. Maybe just worded differently, other than all other duties as assigned by himself. Okay. The second one is a revision, IIBGA. This is around the electronic communication systems. This deals with how staff uses electronic social media and so on in interacting with students and promoting their teaching and learning. So there are some highlights specifically about cyberbullying awareness, and that's in social media and how to use that and how not to use that. That's essentially the suggested revisions for this policy. And the revisions are highlighted in the grayscale. And its accompanying AR is in the yellow. Again, that gives the specific rules. There is, for your consideration or input tonight for me, is on page 2 of the yellow one. Under general responsibility, there's an option A that says prohibits staff use of personal electronic devices, etc. And then, or the second option is to provide a system of authorizing staff use of certain devices in certain ways. On page 4 of 12, there's a little bit of discussion about, or updating the language, with so many staff now using district-owned laptops and so on, that there's some language around making sure that personal use of equipment is frowned upon.
Tim,
Yes,
for my clarification on those options A and B,
yes.
if one went with option A, where it prohibits staff use of personal electronic devices to download or access proprietary information, how many staff members would that affect?
I honestly don't know.
I might be able to, I mean, I think it would depend on what exactly we're talking about as far as accessing that information. If you're talking about the ability to access PowerSchool, for example, on your personal cell phone, I would say that for the most part, it's not going to be overly common, but it's not uncommon for teachers to do that either, because honestly, it's an ease of access thing. Now, if you're going to say that teachers cannot, shall not, thou shalt, it limits a little flexibility in instruction in the classroom, sometimes convenience, especially I think of somebody like, or somebody who will be taking Dana's position where they may be in a PE classroom, taking a role on having to wheel on a laptop. It's not that much, not necessarily, it's easy to think it's not that much more work, but it is one more step you have to do as opposed to pulling out your phone and going do, done. If you're talking about, does a teacher, well, I mean, okay, one thing I know that all of us do for a fact is that 95% of us get our emails on our phone. If you're talking about that level of limitation, you're going to be talking about completely
Well,
hampering
it
teachers'
seems like
access.
it's differentiating between proprietary and communication.
And that, now if you're talking about, say, I have my laptop and I sign into an Adobe Creative Cloud account that the district may have purchased for me and I'm downloading Photoshop onto my computer, I think that's a whole nother ballgame personally. It kind of depends on what you're talking about, whether these are the common web-based tools that we use as part of our daily job, or are we taking advantage and getting free access to programs that we may not otherwise use. If I'm teaching social studies and I don't really need Photoshop, the question is, why am I downloading it on my laptop? Especially if I happen to be running a home photography business or something like that.
I think my second reading of this, in that second line, allows staff use of personal electronic devices to access the district's electronic communication when it is consistent with district board policies and rules. That kind of gives us a broader I think.
So does that include the attendance and grades?
Yes, yes.
So proprietary information would be mainly,
To me, I need to find out what
Okay.
more definition on that.
okay.
I think Josh did a pretty good job of explaining that, but I need a deeper understanding of what that is. And then you also might recall this policy is required for us to get E-rate. So it's a required policy that with there's annual signatures required for students and users of the network to that agreements are in place for student and staff to use the systems. Any more discussion on that one, or ready to move on to new policy? INDB, which is entitled Flag Displays and Salutes. Our current law is that the flag salute is done at least once a week. This is now stating by law, if I'm reading this correctly, that a National League of Families POW MIA flag shall be displayed on or near each school building when required, in the same way that a U.S. and Oregon flag is.
Well, it says when required by
required,
state
yes.
law, so is there a state law that requires that right now?
So if we go down to the footnote down below, must only be displayed on or that have existing blah, 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 blah.
Looks like it's new construction.
Sounds like it depends on if your flagpole is designed to do that.
Right.
So,
As of 2018.
Yeah, anything constructed on or after.
I think our flagpole is 1940. Still standing. It's still there.
and then in the last paragraph, upon request from a sovereign tribal government, a flag representing that government must also be displayed on, near, or within a school building during school hours. So, this is one I honestly didn't study very much. It's a little deeper in, but so it sounds like the one question is when required by state law. And did we clarify that? About the 2018, after 2018?
Now, they're just stating any buildings constructed on or after that should already have sufficient infrastructure.
To hold 3 flags or
Yeah.
4 flags?
Yeah.
Sounds like there's a bit of a flexibility if your flagpole doesn't, if you don't have the infrastructure to properly display.
But bottom line is, are we required to fly those flags now? And if so, do we have a secondary flag pole that has the POW, MIA, and the sovereign tribal flags? Is that clear to anybody?
The sovereign tribal one looked like only at the request.
Right,
Yeah.
So if we
if
don't
they
have a
ask.
request, then
Yeah.
right.
I take it as the POW MIA flag must only be displayed on or near buildings that have existing flag poles or other infrastructure installed to properly display all 3 flags. Kind of take that as our flagpole. I'm not really sure how to interpret that.
Right, is it as simple as adding one more buckle?
Right.
And now we have room for 3?
Mhm.
I think so. Yeah, does that sound right?
Well, I think the other question that comes to mind for me is, honestly, some of the days that, not so much in the summertime, but in winter, you get that pole moving pretty hard with 2 flags. You get a third, is that flag pole gonna?
It gives an exception for unsuitable weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So are there any specific questions you want me to ask OSBA, or are we clear on?
Maybe just clarification
Yeah,
of that
on the
one.
POW flag.
Okay.
Just some clarification there.
Okay.
The specifications for.
All right. A revised policies, first reading for JGA, corporal punishment. This is reaffirming that no student will be subject to the infliction of corporal punishment. Ironically, I think I opened this email the day when the Florida elementary teacher was swatting the 6-year-old, and mom caught it all on camera. And the idea that there are still 30 states in America that allow corporal punishment at school. So with that said, this is the revision in the grayscale essentially says that there is no corporal punishment, is not condoned in our district. And then the last proposed is a new policy, JHCA/JHCB, and it's entitled Immunization, Physical Examination, Vision Screening, Eye Examination, and Dental Screening. These are practices that we have done, well actually some of them we have done as a district. Most schools have. Specifically the vision screening, and it's usually done with the assistance of the Lions Club. The dental screening is done through usually one of our local dental centers. So I think there is language here, I guess you probably should start at the top. We already require, proof of immunizations. I'm wondering about the 30-day, because right now we have until February to report, and that's when the exclusion day is. So I'm wondering if this is an update related to that. And then the second, around physical examinations, board recommends that students have a pre-enrollment physical and complete the health history form. We all already require student athletes to have their physical exam paperwork on file prior to participation, and that starts in the 6th grade, I guess, with football. The other things, the 7 through 12. Because of our situation, we do it 6-12. So, any questions or comments on this? I can do more research for you.
On the physical examinations, I understand about the sports physicals. I didn't know how all of them can get their physical exams if they don't have, I don't know how that would
Right,
work.
that process, if you're not able to get the exam.
Or if you don't have insurance.
Right, insurance or, right.
Yeah, who's paying for it?
I think that's probably why
Is it
they,
possible to just do an exam clinic at the school,
like a healthy kid
yeah.
type of thing.
Well, we're going to have a school nurse, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. If we can hire a school nurse, this potentially could be.
What does the physical exam entail?
It doesn't say. Yeah,
It's awful broad.
it is.
Mhm. The form is to be completed, so
Is that
whatever
some,
form is, I don't know.
this is obviously something new that the state is proposing?
Yes. Would you like me to get some more information about how extensive that exam is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what that form is also.
Okay. I do see that, yeah,
This is saying initially enrolling in school and then again at 7th grade?
Yeah, parents will be asked to complete a
Yeah.
district health history form when initially enrolling their student in the district and when registering them for grade 7. I mean, if it's, yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested to know if they're talking about just like a sports physical.
right.
Or just parents completing the health history form and turning it in with the rest of their.
Okay, I will get some other, more information for you on that paragraph.
Is the physical the one, really the only new one?
Yes,
I mean,
I-
vision and
Yeah, yes, the
and
vision.
dental,
and-
that's something.
Yes, Mr. Denning, do you want to add anything to those, or they're pretty standard?
Yeah.
And there are some reimbursable opportunities. Again, I think the dental screening comes free of charge.
Yeah.
They do some treatments on site, some coding, and pre-screening and then with the eye screening, I'm trying to remember again if that was part of the reimbursement.
There's one of them that we do get reimbursed.
Yeah, which I think is,
For certain grades.
yeah, I think, yes, I think that's for the vision. Okay.
All right, any more questions?
I just want, Tim, just a clarification. I know the ARs have come before us. I've always had the understanding that ARs were more a superintendent responsibility.
That's true, yes.
What's the word? I mean, it's still approved by the board,
It is, yes.
but
But-
more at the discretion.
I think probably ARs come as recommendations from administration to be the rules that the district supports.
But like
the policy.
changes to it, does the superintendent have to request adoption? I mean,
Yes, it's part of the adoption. Yes, that's my understanding.
All right, I
Yeah.
don't know. I've always wanted a more clear understanding of that.
Let me ask that question as well.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9, citizen input on agenda items, a limit of 2 minutes per person. Michelle Ham, if you'd like to take the podium.
Hi.
I have to apologize. They had a plan, and I did not know the plan or didn't realize it at the time. So I'm behind her cheering her on. So just so you know.
We were going to be his backup dancers, but now he's ours.
I blew it.
So, hey everybody, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Ham. I'm a teacher at Riley Creek. Currently I'm teaching a 4-5 blend, but it sounds like I will be happily going back to kindergarten this next school year. So I'm here on behalf of all the staff of Riley Creek to respectfully ask the board to consider for your budget the hiring of a 12th teacher. Currently the way that we are set up with the potential of 11th teacher, we're still looking at the possibility of blends. And that is not what's best for our students at all. Blends, and I can speak from my own personal current situation, there's always a child who's either way ahead or way behind. And fortunately, right now, we have the individualism that we can meet those needs. But moving forward with full-time, full classrooms, it's going to be a lot more challenging, and it's going to be a very good possibility that students aren't going to get every need addressed in that timely manner that satisfies what we as teachers need to do and what the kid needs to help progress that learning. So it's not what's best for the kiddos, and it's not what's best for us as teachers. We need to have smaller class sizes. Our kiddos are behind. They're going to be behind, but we need to bridge that gap. We're hoping to be able to put a little dent in that this summer, but we're moving forward, looking into the next school year and beyond, that to have those smaller class sizes, we need to make sure that we are meeting every kid's need. And then lastly, it's looking at the turnover that we're having continuously, looking ahead, it's going to happen some more. We're going to be losing more teachers, it sounds like, and we need to have a little bit of cushion just in case we do lose more of those teachers. So Riley Creek, everybody that I know of at Riley Creek strongly supports this, including Mr. Denning. And so we would respectfully ask that you consider this for your budget this upcoming school year. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Board member comments. Kaylee, you get to go first.
I don't think I have anything to add tonight.
Okay. Mr. Skinner?
I don't think I have anything to add tonight.
Sorensen?
Just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on the board for 4 more years, and I agree with some of the comments. This is an excellent board. Very nice to work with everybody on this board. So grateful for the votes and grateful to be back for another 4.
Thank you. Mr. McNair?
I don't believe I have anything this evening.
I don't either. I'm all out of words, thoughts for today. This coming back to work stuff is just not acceptable at all.
It's tough.
Transition. Okay, upcoming meetings, next board meeting, June 16, 2021. Budget committee meeting, May 26 at 6 p.m. And if no one has anything else, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:05.